Question number 2. Now, again, the first thing I need you to remember is how many solutions are there to a quadratic?
2.
Very good.
Hey, 2.
All right, some of you just need to listen to the video, all right, and listen to yourselves. All right. There are 2 solutions. Fundamental theorem of algebra. The degree, which is the exponent, the largest exponent, tells you how many solutions. Now, why am I telling you that? Because if there are 2 solutions, all right, I want somebody to tell me the answer to number 2. What would the answer be? Thank you, whoever said that. All right. The answer is K is equal to plus or minus 4. Why is that true? Because 4 squared is 16, and what else? Negative 4 squared is 16. Now, most of the time on tests, kids forget the plus or minus. They just say 4, and they don't remember negative 4. So I always try to remind you that the degree, in this case was 2, tells you how many solutions there are. All right? Now, how did we get that? Mathematically, to undo a square, we take the square root of both sides. That's what we're doing. All right? So here we go with question number 4. Listen, you guys are playing around.
No, he just got a new iPad.
Okay, thank you for taking care of that. All right? So number 4, A is equal to what? Yes, plus or minus 2. All right? Now, number 6, I need you to be careful with question number 6. I have to isolate the square first. You divide by 2 first. So you're going to say n squared is equal to what?
72.
Negative 72. And then, of course, everybody's just going to tell me, well, obviously that is? Very good. No solution. Again, why is it no solution? Right. No number squared will be a negative. When you take Algebra 2, they will introduce what's referred to as imaginary numbers. And imaginary numbers can be the square root of a negative. But for us right now, we simply say that there is no number squared that will be negative. So it is no solution. Any questions? All right. So number 8, everybody should be able to look at number 8 and say that's obviously what?
No solution.
Yes, no solution as well. All right. Now, number 10. First thing we have to do is what? Yeah, divide by negative 5. So x squared is equal to 100. That's the first step I want you to. Now, some of you are smart enough, you just automatically said plus or minus 10. That's also good. All right? So x is equal to plus or minus 10. All right? Now, for question number 12, k squared is equal to what?
81.
And so k is equal to plus or minus 9. Hey. Now, listen. I'm trying to teach, and some of you are interested in playing. It's not spring break. We're not playing anymore. We're working. Number 14, isolating. All right, you end up with n squared is equal to 49 over 16. Everybody good with that? Now we take the square root of both sides. So n is equal to what?
7.
No.
Plus or minus 7.
Thank you. Plus or minus 7/4. Plus or minus 7/4. Okay, next. Isolating. We have n squared is equal to 72. All right? Boys, I'm just telling you now. Now, you take the square root. I would like for you to say plus or minus. Now, we did 72 a bunch of different times.
36 and 2.
Yes, so it becomes 6 radical 2. Everybody should just recognize that right off the bat as 36 times 2. Now, of course, most people do 9 times 8. Most people do 9 times 8. All right, I'm not interested in 9 times 8 because then you'd have to break down 8. All right. Number 18. 10n squared is equal to 290.
Then n squared is equal to 29.
N squared is equal to 29. So n is equal to what is it? Plus or minus radical 29.
Oh, because
Yeah, 29. First of all, 29 is prime. And second of all, there's no perfect square that goes into 29. All right? Plus or minus the square root of 29. What?
then going back to like number 6 and 8, why are those no solution and not just
Bless you.
Shh, hey, I really just want him to ask a question. All right, let me try to help him.
Why didn't we just put the radical over like -3 for number 2?
You can, but what is the square root of a negative? That's right. There's no solution there. All right. So here we go. Back to number 20. All right. Subtracting 10. Now look. Here's the problem. Some of you guys are giving me solutions, and I'm not there yet. I'm trying to show you step by step what we're doing, so everybody can be involved. All right. So if you're going to answer, I want you to answer with me. Not one step ahead of me, not giving me the final answer when I'm on step 1. All right, that's what's slowing me down. I have a lot of work. All right, because we got to review graphing today also. All right, so now n squared is equal to what? 9. Thank you. Therefore, n is equal to plus or minus 3. Beautiful. Plus or minus 3. Number 22. I have to do what first? Add 6. So 8n squared is equal to 312. And so now n squared is equal to, now n is equal to plus or minus the square root of 39. That is correct. Any questions? What? I'm always doing the square roots when I'm squaring a number, right? So what's your question?
Well, I guess I see it.
Because look, some of them, like on question number 20, they're perfect squares. That's why there's no radical there. You understand me? Some of them are not perfect squares. And if they're not perfect squares, you got to decide whether or not you can break them down. 29 or 39 is not something we can break down. So you leave it like that. All right? Here we go. What? Anybody else? 24, what do I have to do first? So 8n squared is equal to 536. And so n squared is equal to, and so n is equal to, there we go. Nothing difficult at all. All right, so now let's take a look at 26. Add 7. So 8b squared is equal to 200. So b squared is equal to 25. So b is equal to
Plus or minus 5.
plus or minus 5. Easy. All right. Be careful. 28.
You have to move.
Negative 4x squared is equal to, so x squared is equal to
Positive 22.
positive 22. And so x is equal to Article 22. Very easy. All right. Now we're back to what? The graphing. All right. Now again, part of the reason why I'm reviewing so much is because the 8th graders will be taking their entrance exams into their private schools. All right. So quadratics is one of the topics that is the most difficult. So throughout the week, we'll be reviewing, all right, different things about the quadratics. And one of the most important things is obviously graphing. All right, now most of the entrance exams you're not allowed to use calculators on, so this kind of should be a review for you. All right, so we're going to start with number 2. First thing is axis of symmetry. So remember what the formula for that was?
Negative b over 2a.
Thank you. X is equal to negative b over 2a. Now let's just look up here and say a is equal to what? A is equal to, in this case, what? Good. 1. B is equal to what? B is equal to what, guys? 6. Thank you. And C is equal to what? 0. Very good. Okay? So that's A, B, and C. So now X is equal to negative 6 over 2, which is equal to negative 3. Does anybody remember that? So your axis symmetry is just X equals negative 3. Now I use the highlight and I graph X equals negative 3. And that is considered your axis of symmetry. Who remembers how to find the vertex? What do I do? Yes, you plug in X equals negative 3 into the equation. So your vertex is going to be negative 3 comma something. So we go Y is equal to negative 3 squared plus 6 times negative 3. So somebody tell me what Y is. Negative 9. Thank you. So your vertex is negative 3, negative 9. And now let's go ahead and plot that point. Negative 3. Negative 9 is right there. Anybody have any questions? All right, what? I just plugged in negative 3 into the original equation for X. You with me now, right? Now, the y-intercept. The y-intercept was always what? 0, comma c. So in this case, it would be what? 0, comma 0. All right, so now everybody plot the point 0, comma 0. Now how far away am I from the axis of symmetry? 3. So you'll be 3 over on the other side of the axis of symmetry. And now remember, all you do is you draw your graph. Do you have any questions with that? What?
On the area of symmetry, the X would be.
Stop correcting.
The X would be the A and the B would be the 6.
Are you talking about in this formula right here?
Yes, in that.
All right.
According to the.
In this formula now, remember B is 6.
Okay.
And A is an understood 1. Agreed? All right. Anybody else have any other questions with graphing? All right, we have 2 more. All right, let's check out number 4. All right, now this is good review because I think we're dealing with fractions, and a lot of kids have trouble with fractions. All right, so here we go. Axis symmetry. X equals, what's negative b going to be? Negative 1 over 2 times what? Isn't it negative 1? Everybody okay with that? And so that becomes what? Yes, 1/2. Thank you. Becomes 1/2. All right. Now somebody was having some trouble with 1/2. 1/2 is just right in the middle. What's the matter?
You know how it's like negative b and then the negative x?
Right.
Wouldn't those cancel each other out though? And just be a
Positive 1/2.
Yeah, but like.
You sure? All right. All right. So now you take your highlight and we will graph an axis of symmetry. All right. So now my vertex is 1/2 comma something. So now it's good to do without a calculator to practice. All right, so let's see what you got. So y is equal to negative parentheses 1/2 squared plus 1/2 plus 6. What's 1/2 squared? 1/4, but there's a negative out in front, right? So it'd be negative 1/4 plus 1/2 plus 6. Now the way I want you to do is just get common denominators. All right? So y is equal to negative 1/4. 1/2 is how many fourths? 2/4. Now the hard one. 6 is how many fourths? 24 fourths. Does everybody agree with that? All right? I always try to tell kids, remember, it's like pizzas. If you got 6 pizzas and you cut them into fourths, you have what? 24 pieces. 24 fourths. And so now y is equal to what? 25 over 4. I had to show somebody last class 25 fourths is the same as what mixed fraction? Say it. 6 1/4. If you're unsure about that, we can just say that's what? 6.25. Then they were so concerned that they couldn't put 6.25 down. How do you do 6.25? It's not important, right? You just know it's somewhere between what? 6 and 7, closer to what? 6 than to 7. It's not about being super accurate. So now we're going to graph 25 fourths. So my vertex is 1/2 comma 25 fourths. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a little bit. So that's my vertex. Everybody okay with that? Now, what is my y-intercept? Somebody tell me what the y-intercept is. 0, 6. Thank you very much. 0, 6. So now I can graph 0, 6, which is kind of close. Do you agree? But how far away am I from the axis symmetry? Half, right? So I just have to do what? Half on the other side. Should be really simple for you to see that. And then we're just sketching the graph. Like something like that. Anybody have any issues? What?
So if there is a fraction and you give like 25 fourths, obviously if you have extended the line,
Well, all I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to tell you that you're just graphing 6.25. You with me? You understand what I just said? Right? It's not being accurate at 6.25. I can't be accurate, right? Because I don't know where a quarter is. I know where it's approximately, right? All right. So now everybody jump to question number 6. All right. Let me give you a minute. See if you can handle the fraction. All right. Check out question number 6. Let's go. See if you remember. All right, so let's see. For your axis of symmetry, I believe x equals what? Right? Is everybody good with 5 over 2? Everybody happy? 5 over 2? And now we're going to plug 5 over 2 in. So y equals negative parentheses 5 over 2 squared. And what's 5 halves squared? Come on. I said, what's 5 halves squared? (25/4). Don't forget there's a negative out in front, though. So it's negative 25/4 plus what? What's 5 times 5 halves? Come on, I'm a little worried about some of you now. 25 over 2. You got to know your fractions. Come on. If you don't know your fractions, speak up and say, just show me real quick. Or remind me is what you should say. Anybody have any problem with that? And then it would be what? Minus 4. So the common denominator here would just be what? 4, right? So y equals negative 25/4 plus what? 50/4 minus what? 16 over 4. Come on. Combine that. Y would equal 9 over 4. Come on, guys. 9 over 4. So our axis symmetry, make sure you write it up here. 5 over 2. My vertex would be 5 over 2, comma, 9 over 4. And my y-intercept would just be what? 0, comma, negative 4. All right. 5 divided by 2 is the same as what? Come on, guys. 5 divided by 2. Come on. 2.5. So here's 2.5. All right. Now, 9/4. What's that? 2.25. 9 quarters. $2.25. 2.25. So now we're going to graph 2.25. Again, should be about right there. The y-intercept was what? 0, comma what? How far away am I from the axis symmetry? 2.5, right? So I go 2.5 over. Should be right there. And I just draw on the graph. Any questions or concerns? All right. Now, just a brief little review for question number 1. Somebody tell me what b is in this case. B is equal to what? 0. All right, so be careful with that. All right, then your vertex and your y-intercept are the same. So then you have to plug in x equals 1. All right, make sure you make that note. I don't want you saying you forgot. All right. Now look, you got plenty of time to finish things up. You guys were a little rowdy today. All right, concentrate. All right, get the homework done. All right, quietly work. I don't want you messing around anymore. If you have a question, come on up and let me help you.